Good morning, Waddle Nation. Welcome back to the Minecraft Guide, episode 167. And 167 is going to be all about setting up a slime farm. We're starting to. It's going to be pretty sweet. But before we do that, we have an emergency. Things are bad over at the iron farm. So last episode, we set up an iron farm, and it works. It definitely is running. So far, I have this much iron. But I have this much iron. It stopped working, and I couldn't figure out why. Or at least it mostly stopped working. So anyways, in between episodes, I made some changes to the iron farm. The changes up here are pretty minor. I started with a torch. We had torches inside of this thing. I thought maybe there was a change in 1.17, making torches have a problem with the farm. But no, it's not that. So check out the villagers. They're all standing still. That's the problem. The villagers' AI is basically shut off for some reason right now. What I decided to do is rebuild this farm in a separate world. And I figured it out. I solved the mystery. That's right, gang. I've done it. So watch this. As soon as I turn this slab into a solid block, the villager's AI returns. It's alive again. It runs over the block, and then it freezes. This is a solid block now, and it moves. And that right there, now the villager has regained full consciousness. Is going to move around back and forth. That's perfect. That's the exact behavior we need to happen for this farm to work. So all we need to do is basically turn all of these slabs into solid blocks, and then the farm works perfectly again. The slabs are the problem. If you build this farm, do not use slabs down here like I did. You have to use solid blocks of some kind, or double up on the slabs. I also put the shroom lot up there. I think it looks more aesthetic. So the farm is perfect. It works again, just like new. So yep, that's that with the iron farm. Today, we're going to be working on the base, and in the next episode on the base too. So this thing should hopefully be able to run. At the end of the next episode, we'll check on the iron farm and see how much iron we have. We'll have to take a little bit out in between now and then, but that's good. Slime farm time. So a slime farm. This is going to be the very first slime farm of this world, and the first slime farm that I built in survival in like a long time. Slime farms are great for a couple different things, depending on how you set it up. The main reason for a slime farm is definitely going to be slime balls. From a slime farm, automatic slime balls. Unless you don't make it automatic. If you wanted to make this manual, you could potentially get a lot of experience from a slime farm. It's a solid option, but personally, I would highly recommend just automating the thing and letting it run while you're at your base. That's what we're going to do. In theory, a slime farm isn't that difficult to build, it's just going to be a lot of work. So a slime farm. Slime farms are great, but unfortunately, they can't be built just anywhere. To set up a slime farm and to have the thing actually function, first we're going to need to find a slime chunk. Today, that is the plan. Finding a slime chunk isn't too bad. It's potentially a lot of work, could take a lot of time, a lot of digging for sure, but it's really not the worst thing in the world. So there are two methods to find a slime chunk. The easy method and the manual method. We're going to talk about both in today's video. But what we're going to do in this world is the manual method. Yes, it's sad, it's very tragic, but I feel like the easy method is so cheaty. Like, I just don't feel right about it. It doesn't feel right at all, so we're going to do the manual method. To do the manual method, we're going to need a little bit of supplies. A pickaxe for sure. Preferably something good. Depending on how lucky we get today, we might need to go over to the gold farm and mend this thing up, but I have two pickaxes right here. Efficiency 5 on the pickaxe is going to help huge time. Silk Touch Fortune, technically enchantments don't matter, but you're going to have to dig a lot, so pickaxe. Manual method ingredient number 2, fence gates. You should probably have some fence gates and then walls. Walls are really cheap. If you don't have the walls right off the bat, don't worry about it. You'll be able to get them from digging. And I mean, I guess technically speaking, you could just use something else like solid blocks and divide the chunks up that way. But I like to use walls and fence gates. Finally, optional supply, a beacon. Beacons are amazing because haste 2 beacon. We're converting this thing over today. There is no way that I'm not doing this without a haste 2. Potentially a lot of digging, yeah. Hopefully the range is going to be good. If it isn't, we'll move it down to the mines. But haste 2 beacon. A haste 2 beacon is definitely optional, but it's going to help out huge time. Speed the process up. Also, look at that beauty over there. It's actually running now. That's great. Absolute basics, these right here are slime. They bounce around, they're green, they're kind of cool. They're very, very dangerous, at least the big size. In survival, they come in 3 sizes, big, medium, and small. The small ones can't do any damage. The big ones do a lot of damage. The medium ones do medium damage. A Minecraft world is made out of chunks. On Java, F3, and G will show off all of the chunk boundaries. A chunk is basically a 16 by 16 block area. So this is one chunk, this is another chunk, and this is another one, and so on and so on and so on. It's the same on Bedrock Edition. These chunks actually have secret information. Kind of. That's like the best way to put it. Basically, 1 in 10 chunks in your world is a slime chunk. How do you know it's a slime chunk? Well, aside from watching a slime spawn inside of that chunk, there is no way. I figured out that this chunk right here is a slime chunk. That's condition number 1. Condition number 2, below Y40. So I just created this world to talk about slimes a little bit, and Y4. Yeah, that's definitely below Y40. Slime will only be able to spawn inside of a slime chunk, and inside of a slime chunk, they'll only be able to spawn below Y40. Inside of a slime chunk below Y40, light level. Light level does not matter at all. It could be any brightness. It could be all the way bright, it could be no bright at all. Light level does not affect slime spawning. Slime can only and will only spawn inside of a slime chunk unless you're inside of a swamp. There is one exception to the slime chunk rule, and that's going to be the swamp biome. The swamp biome is a little bit different because slime can actually spawn inside of this biome. Now, slime will only be able to spawn inside of the swamp biome in between Y50 and Y70 and below light level 7. We talked about it a tiny bit earlier on in the series when we were looking for some slime balls, but the moon phase also affects slime spawning. It's kind of crazy advanced for this game. But we won't be farming these things inside of a swamp because there's no swamp nearby, and honestly, it's not as efficient at all. So back to the slime chunk. Inside of a slime chunk below Y40, any light level. Those are the 3 conditions so far. In survival Minecraft, there are 3 slime sizes: big slime, medium slime, small slime. For a big slime to spawn, we're going to need a 3 by 3 by 2.5 block space at least for one of these things to spawn. For a medium one, we're going to need a 3 by 3 by 2, and for a small one, we're going to need a 1 by 1 by 2 space. So 1 by 1 by 2. Tiny. So you don't need very much space open at all, actually, for a small slime to spawn. But at the same time, you kind of do. The game handles slime spawning kind of interestingly. So first, it's going to make sure there's actually room inside of the mob cap for a slime to spawn. So like, you know, not too many hostile mobs. Then after that, it's going to make sure we're inside of a slime chunk. Then it's going to make sure we're below Y40. And then finally, it's going to look for a 3 by 3 by 2.5 block space that is free for a slime to spawn. If that condition is met, then the game will think about the slime size. What all of that means is to test slime spawning, we actually need to create a space that is at least 3 by 3 by 2.5 blocks. Now, we need to do this down below Y40, and coincidentally, diamonds do generate below Y40. You could technically do this anywhere below Y40, Y37 or something, but I highly recommend doing it at diamond level, because, I mean, why not? If you're going to have to dig out a lot of space, maybe find diamonds too. Speaking of finding diamonds, I found some diamonds over here. I actually found them a while ago when I was getting deep slate, and then a long time ago, somewhere over here, I actually found even more diamonds. This was like a long time ago. It was on a Wednesday with the Waddles episode. Yeah, there's diamonds right here, and I haven't done anything with them. Today we're going to start by silk touching these things. We'll fortune them later. It's beautiful. The very first diamond ore of this world, apparently. That's actually kind of shocking, and it's beautiful. It's diamond ore. And over here is deep slate diamond ore 2. We will silk touch it as well, and we'll worry about fortuning it later or not or something. And there's lapis, which means even more diamonds over here, probably in that direction, because chunk border. So problem right here, I have a hallway. It's 3 by 3, that's good. But it's on the chunk border. That's a big problem. On Java Edition, it's pretty simple to figure out where the chunks are, F3 and G. On Bedrock, you're going to have to do a little bit of math, basically divide your coordinates by 16. 16 blocks from 0 is one chunk, 16 blocks more, another chunk, yeah. There's like a lot of math behind it. Honestly, if you're on Bedrock, just do the easy method. Like, save yourself a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of pain. Math, just do the easy method. We'll talk about it later. What we're going to want to do is dig a bunch of 3 by 3 hallways down below Y40 somewhere, cutting through a bunch of chunks. However, I don't have haste, so I'll be right back. I've done it. I've created pretty much the most dangerous falling hazard of all time. I moved the beacon straight down, all the way down into the ground, Y11. Now we're going to try it again, and for some reason the haste didn't even, stick last time, so let's actually go for haste 2 this time. Now I'm completely trapped in this hole. I didn't really consider this idea, so I think what I'm going to have to do is just start digging. Now with haste 2, I can actually dig fast, which is really, really nice. Oh. Yeah, digging. Digging is a really good idea. So I'm going to have to start digging. I think if I were to go this way, eventually I should hit my branch mine. I'm at Y11. The branch mine is on Y5 and Y11 because reasons. I mean, in relation to the base, eventually I should be able to go this way. Yes, perfect. I found the branch mine. Okay, down here below Y40 with chunk boundaries on, we need to start mining. We're going to need to dig 3 by 3 hallways through the middle of chunks. Now this hallway right here is right on the chunk border, so what I'm going to do is just push the wall out a little bit, so I'm going to have basically a 3 block tall, 4 block wide hallway, and we're going to dig this long. This is going to have to be a long hallway through a lot of chunks. Now this is going to be the time consuming part. This is where the haze beacon really comes in, and look at this. Once we move past where I was before, I could just do the simple 3 by 3 mine. Now the most efficient way to accomplish all of this mining is by far going to be a 3 by 3 spiral. Things are going to slow down a little bit when we find different types of material like dirt and ores and stuff, but 3 by 3 spiral. So basically something like this. This is the most efficient way to mine through all of this. Don't forget to light things up. Absolutely want to keep things bright inside of here, and maybe eventually we'll find even more diamonds, and it will be a great moment. Now what we're going to want to do is keep mining this hallway. We want to make this hallway a long hallway. Only 1 in 10 chunks is going to be a slime chunk, which means most likely we're going to have to go through at least 10 chunks. It's going to take some time. Now, hostile mobs. Hostile mobs in Minecraft, they exist. They spawn. Hostile mobs, all mobs in general, have different spawning rules and spawning limits. Mob caps. Hey, look at that lapis. That means 4 blocks this way, there should be diamonds. 4 blocks this way, and then down in this area, there should be diamonds somewhere, unless there's gravel. Maybe the gravel ruined it. I don't know the exact number value, but it doesn't matter. All that we need to know is that slime share the same hostile mob cap as all of the other hostile mobs. If you have a lot of things like skeletons and zombies idling around, slime will spawn less, because there's less room for them to actually spawn. So like right now, I can hear a ton of zombies. That means I have a cave system nearby that is dark, which is a huge problem. That's going to make it a little bit harder, so if I could find that cave system and light it up ideally, that would be amazing. That would be a good improvement. Now also slime chunk borders. Right now I have a big long hallway that I dug. It's nighttime, so I definitely should be sleeping. Yeah, remember that hostile mobs can spawn up on the surface too, so mining these hallways at nighttime and then standing around waiting in the middle of the night, not efficient at all. Skip the nighttime so hostile mobs aren't spawning up there. Less other mobs, the better. Yeah, that's a lot of mobs. That's a lot of mobs inside of that cave system. It sounds like it's over there. I'm gonna have to find that thing and light it up. But anyways, I have a big long hallway dug out now. That's great. Hostile mobs won't spawn within 24 blocks of a player though, so waiting here, that's gonna be a problem. If this were a slime chunk and I'm standing right inside of it, of course, slime aren't actually going to be able to spawn inside of it, so I'm gonna need to move away. But if I move far away and the slime spawns and I don't actually see it spawn, and then it moves over to a new chunk, and then I come back thinking this is a slime chunk when it's not, big problem. Step 1, dig a long hallway below Y40 through a bunch of chunks. Make it 3 by 3. Step 2, divide the chunks up. Now, of course, there are a bunch of different ways to do this. My favorite way is walls and fence gates. Fence gates are easy to use. We can pass through them and close them, of course. And walls are too tall for slime to jump over. If you don't have enough resources for fence gates for whatever reason, you could just do solid walls and mine them out. But divide the chunks up is very, very important. Also, make sure your hallways are lit up. We don't need other mobs spawning inside of here. That defeats the purpose. But divide things up. If you have a more open area like this right here, of course it's going to cost more walls, but highly recommend just dividing it up. If you come back later and you find a slime down here, but you don't know which chunk it spawned in, big waste of time. Honestly, I have extra blocks. I'm just going to fill this in right here. Alright, so hallway number 1 is done. I've divided up all the chunks. That's good. Time for hallway number 2. Now, right now I'm inside of a chunk. That's good. I think what I'm going to do is make a 3 by 3 hallway going straight off this way. And then as soon as I cross the chunk border, I'm going to keep going. So chunk border right here. I'll keep going a little bit of a ways. And then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to make another 3 by 3 hallway, maybe like right in this area right here, cutting down this way. Hopefully, eventually I find a slime chunk. And so that's it. That's the entire method. 3 by 3 hallways below Y40. Divide the chunks up somehow. And then keep digging and digging and digging. It's sad, but unfortunately this can take a long time. We're entirely waiting on the game here at this point. Hopefully, one of these chunks that I've dug through is a slime chunk. And hopefully, one of these chunks is a chunk that I can actually use. Also, honestly, if you're trying to do this as fast as possible, save all of your time, maybe do this above deep slate range. I mean, you won't be able to find diamonds, but deep slate isn't insta-mineable. Like, no matter what, haste 2, efficiency 5, that's what I have. You can't insta-mine it, which means it's going to take a lot of time to dig through deep slate. Especially if I find, like, a really solid big chunk of it, like this stuff right here. Yeah, that's not good. Hey, beacon. How are you? And cave system. Maybe? No. No, I don't think so. Just lava. Chunks that I can use. So not only do we need a slime chunk, but in my case, I'm looking for a chunk that is completely wide open. Up here on the surface, we have a lot of builds. Yeah, that's kind of the point of the base. The design that I'll be building is going to require us to have the chunk open to the sky. No blocks in between, which means a chunk like this with part of Grim inside of it, that's not good. I can't take the blocks out. I don't want to ruin the castle. Same with this one. So basically, we're looking for a chunk on the edge of the base that hasn't been built in yet. That means ideally, I'm looking for a chunk somewhere on the edge of the base. I need it to be close so it could actually be loaded in, but I also kind of need builds to not be inside of it. So like this area over here, that would be perfect. Maybe this area over here inside of the forest, this would also be kind of perfect. Over here past the iron farm, and yeah, you get the point. I'm looking for a chunk with no builds inside of it. All of that means that I could save a lot of time and energy by making my hallways through chunks that I can actually use. So -771, 1398, that's kind of like the edge of the base. If I can get over to that spot, which is actually pretty close to here, and then start making hallways, I'll be in the forest in between the chateau and Grim. That's perfect. That area will work perfectly. What will also work perfectly though, some of these hallways, especially like down here by the beacon, go into chunks that aren't used quite yet. Like this chunk right here, not used. This chunk over there, not used either. As long as I can get these hallways running through chunks that I can actually build this farm in, and then eventually I catch a slime spawning, we'll be good. And hey, I found a cave system. Perfect. I think this is where all those mobs are coming from. I'm gonna dig, I'm gonna light it up, and then I'm gonna dig even more. Oh, perfect. Whoa, what are they doing? Savages. Complete and total savages. You monsters. What are you doing? Holding all of the glowing sack. Hunting glow squid down here? Really? Come on. Come on. Do something better with your time. They did nothing to you. Savages. Oh, yes. This is perfect. Either there's a zombie spawner inside of this cave, or this is one of, like, the last caves over in this area that isn't... Oh, it's a zombie spawner. Okay. Well, that's a development. That's a development for sure. That's the second one over here. Cool. I'm going to have to remember that. That's really, really useful. That's actually pretty sweet. And look at all this copper, too, with Fortune 3. I'm loaded. This thing is like a huge ravine that was insanely dark. Honestly, that's like such a good find because there's so much more space that is lit up. I hear another zombie, so there's probably a cave connected to this thing. I'm going to try and find it, and yeah, like I said, I'm going to dig. If you're doing the manual method, I highly recommend that you come back every once in a while and check your hallways, just to make sure you're not actually missing something. No way. No way. Already. It's only been like 12 minutes. Yeah, make sure you check your chunks. Check back on the hallways every once in a while because you never know. Eventually, maybe after like no time at all in my case, a slime will spawn. We've done it. We found a slime chunk. My good friend, you've done us a huge favor. You don't even know. You get to live. We will not hurt you at all. So the slime chunk is one chunk away from the beacon, it looks like. Yeah, no, like literally one chunk away. Easy to remember. This is perfect. The beacon's already in the perfect spot for digging this chunk out too. This is going to be easy. Slime, genuinely, thank you so much for your service. Your favor, it is immeasurable. Because of you and you alone, we'll be able to farm your kind forever. So that worked out like basically perfectly. I knew that this ravine over here was a really dangerous spot. I went over here to light it up. I climbed around, got torches all over the place. It should be good now. Went back over to the hallways and sure enough, a slime. That was way easier than I thought, like insanely easy. Usually this process takes me hours, like a long time, really long process. They wouldn't even let me fill up one double chest full of materials. I mean, I can't complain. These are the resources that I found too. Now, the easy way. Finding a slime chunk the easy way is insanely easy, very fast too. For this method, we need three things. We need the world seed, which is going to be that number right there. We're going to need our coordinates. And we're going to need something else. So pause the game. Down in the description is a link to the website Chunkbase. Chunkbase is insanely cheaty, but insanely helpful. With the world seed, we can head over to Chunkbase, put the seed into Chunkbase, and get a map to find basically any of these things right here. The thing that we need today, obviously slime chunk. Seed goes inside of this box right here, and then down here goes our coordinates. Right now, I'm at negative 731, 1,452. If I hit go, I will find a slime chunk. Okay, actually, this is crazy. So where I'm standing right now, kind of like the central area of my mind, is apparently a slime chunk as well. And then the coordinates of the chunk that we just found is this chunk right here. And actually, from the looks of things, not only is there a shape right here, but we have a double slime chunk right here. One slime chunk next to another one, which means we could have a crazy farm. And actually, we could incorporate these ones too and have an insane farm. I don't know if I'm going to do that, but that's pretty cool. The slime chunk finder is insanely easy to interpret. Green chunk means slime chunk. A chunk that is not filled in means it's just a normal chunk. If you are doing this though, make sure you switch your version to the correct version. On Bedrock Edition, it's going to be completely different than Java. So yeah, make sure your version is correct. So there we go. Double confirmation that this chunk right here with all of these torches on the wall is definitely a slime chunk. The slime already left us, which is kind of sad. But not only is that a slime chunk, this chunk right here is also a slime chunk too. But not this one. This is not a slime chunk, but the chunk next to it over there, where I didn't even get to make a hallway yet, would be a slime chunk. And the chunk over there, where the hallway definitely goes through, is also one. Insane. Insane that worked out so easily. Like, what am I going to do with the rest of my day now? Like, I don't even know. Like, I have so much free time. This is crazy. Back up on the surface, 100%. This chunk is going to work for us. So we have the beacon inside of here, which means the hallway is somewhere down right below us. This chunk is a slime chunk, and then the chunk right over here that we're definitely going to be using is also a slime chunk. We can easily clear this thing out all the way to the sky, put a build around it, make it look perfect. This is it. It's the perfect chunk. That brings us to now. With so much extra time on my hands today, I knew exactly what to do. However, big problem. Lime dye, I don't have it. I haven't been farming cactus over here at all, so it was off to the resource desert for me. I figured while I was over at the resource desert, I would get a little bit of sand too. I would need some for this build after all, but also, I mean, it's sand. You could always use more sand. After getting sand, I came back over to the base and saw trees. That got me insanely angry, so I started chopping. And chopping. And chopping. And chopping. And chopping. And then, after that, it was off to the crafting table for me. You see, I needed to craft a ton of lime terracotta for, well, the build that's a secret. And then it was over to the automatic wool farm for yellow wool. Also for the build, it's a secret. By the way, I need to remember to refill the shears inside of this farm at some point. It stopped working a while ago. Anyways, with all the resources, the supplies, I headed over to the build site and started building. And yeah, you know, I did a build. What do you think the build is? Take a guess down below. And don't cheat. I'm going to show the build off in like 10 seconds. Don't skip ahead and cheat. Just pause the video and take a guess. I'll give you a second. And that brings us to now, right now, this exact moment. Please, everybody take a seat. Allow me to introduce you to King Slime. Yes, King Slime. Okay, yeah, I know. It looks so random, out of place right now. There's nothing around it. With context of a slime farm around it, I think it'll look pretty good. Next episode, King Slime. The secret to finding a slime chunk is basically 3x3 hallways under the ground, down below Y40. Maybe do it at diamond level to find diamonds, but unfortunately you're going to run into deep slate. So maybe do it higher. Or just skip the long process and use a slime chunk finder. That would work too. Time for the comment of the day. You should make a hardcore world and keep updating it forever to see a side-by-side comparison 10 years ago and 10 years later or something like that. Love the idea. I love the idea of a hardcore world. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do in 1.18 if I do like a hardcore world or something like that. But also, I feel like a hardcore world would be really good on stream. Right? Hushsound34, GBFan1984, and Reedman, thank you all so much for the support. That's going to do it. Minecraft Guide 167. If you enjoyed today's episode, leave a like and comment something down below. Doing both of those things really helps these videos out, and subscribe if you're new. Brand new videos all the time. Next episode, the big slime farm build. Keep your eyes out for it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.